Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Urban Spokesman. My name is Chris Sanders, and I'm giving micromobility users the news they need to stay up to speed on micromobility and urban infrastructure in New York City. All right, so we have the Department of Transportation. They are standing by their Astoria safety project despite the anti-bike businesses in the area and the anti-bike lawsuit. So as you know, they've been organizing a lot in Astoria, Queens to get Astoria, Queens more safer bike infrastructure, safer pedestrian infrastructure, so that way people could get around easier in that area. And a lot of people in that area, they take the public transit, they take the train, they ride the city bike, they ride the regular bike, they walk, all that. It's a dense area. And so people are doing these things rather than drive their cars. And so they wanted the community wanted DOT to take an interest in them and in adding bike and pedestrian infrastructure in Astoria, Queens, and in the outer boroughs more broadly. But the businesses have, decided to sue the DOT. They're trying to say that the bike lane isn't safe, but the pedestrian upgrades aren't safe. But here's what they're not telling you. The reason the businesses are suing is because a couple of them, they own parking garages in that area. And what they do is they use the free parking or the, kind of weird nebulous space that's over there that's extra. They use that for parking and double parking their vehicles instead of using their parking garages. But then they're charging the customers for parking their vehicles anyway. And so that's what people are not being told. They're not being told about that, is that it's a grift going on. It's a grift. And to be honest, it wouldn't shock me that DOT probably doesn't like what's going on, that these businesses are using the public land, the city land, the public space that is supposed to be for everyone in New York to make money for a private business. I'm sure they probably have a problem with that, and that is, underlying some of why DOT is like, no, we're doing this anyway. We're going through with it. We mean it. And to be honest, the bike lanes in Queens, what DOT has been able to accomplish so far is pretty spectacular. I love the bike lanes over in Queens. They are wide, they are safe, extra safe. And it feels safe when I walk over there. I went to some coffee shop that was right next to a bike lane and right next to where the DOT has already started building another bike lane. I'm gonna have to go over there tomorrow, ride my bike around that area just to see what's being done so far. But it's glorious and beautiful. And you know what? To be quite honest, DOT deserves a lot of credit. And by extension, that means Eric Adams, he deserves a lot of credit for, going forward. Like, you can't have these people, like, they went through the community board, they went through the whole process, and then they think they're just gonna cancel everything, like, at the last second because they say, like, the business is some kind of king. People are treating their business like a fiefdom. Like, they're supposed to be able to control your whole life, even outside of the business. And I don't agree with that. I think that the business is one aspect of life, compartmentalized. You are paying for the labor. That's it. You're running your business. But the community as a whole has to run the city. And the businesses think, well, we've got lots of money, so we're gonna be kings and and do some top-down nonsense. Like, nope, 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 nope. That is not community. And so, you know, and the DOT has, I mean, they have reams and reams of data, tons of data supporting the fact that bike lanes in New York City make the street safer. Like, for older people by a lot, especially for older people. The bike lanes and the pedestrian treatments that accommodate them make the street like 20% safer. That's why the pedestrian deaths have gone down, because the DOT has been adding the bike lane anyway. They've been adding it. And so these 19 businesses sued to kill the safety improvements, and they also sued the community board, but the community board doesn't have any money. Where are you going to get anything out of that? They don't. The community board doesn't have any money. It's a volunteer operation. They don't make any money out of this. They're just doing their civic duty. And look. They're wasting their money, but who knows? Maybe they have maybe they have lawyers on staff. So let's see here. So, in general, these types of lawsuits rarely succeed at doing anything. And DOT has already started putting the bike lane down there. It's not going to stop at the last second. They're just not going to do that. I mean, I don't even know why they thought they were going to do that. It's just not realistic. So, let's see here. Adams Hammer. Sometimes Adams overrules, but I think the DOT says nope. The law, you can say whatever you want about the lawsuit. It is probably a wasted effort, but we'll see. So something else that happened with relation to this. So there's a Reddit forum called r/micromobility NYC. And in r/micromobility NYC, the founder of it, Miser, has been the lawyers for some of the businesses sent him a nasty letter saying that they do not appreciate, like, here's what they say. We are the attorneys for the 31st Street Business Association and the petitioners in the litigation against the Adriatic Plumbing and Heating, etc. versus the City of New York, filed with the Supreme Court of the State of New York, Queens County. We are advised that you are using a pseudonym, Miser NYC, have engaged in concerted and continued efforts to interfere with and impede the businesses of the petitioners, as well as other continued efforts, blah, 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 blah. I mean, good Lord. Yeah, that's not, one thing about that's not going to work on him. That is not going to work on him. Oh my God, he's eating this up. This is feeding him. This means he is doing the right thing. This is validating everything he has ever wanted to do. This is validating everything he's ever done in this letter. Like if you don't understand, like, not everybody thinks the same. And so you have to understand that this letter is giving him the energy he needs. Oh, it's giving me the energy I need. Because, look, the streets have to be safe regardless of your business. And I know that a lot of business owners want to park in front of their business, or they want to use the street, the public space, as their personal thing, but it's not their personal thing. So in New York, people ride the bike, and more people than the numbers currently show. Like, literally, City Bike has millions of trips. And if you gather that City Bike is not even all of the trips, like, think of the delivery drivers, how many trips they make every day, and how many of them there are, especially in an area like Astoria, known for its restaurant cuisine, etc. Like, I don't even, look, it's not gonna work. It's probably not gonna work. And I would advise that they should just get on board, look, and apologize to Miser, apologize to the cycling community, because we want to patronize businesses like Under Pressure Coffee. Hell, I found Under Pressure Coffee specifically because of the bike lane out in front of there. Like, literally, that's how I found them. And I was like, oh my God, this is cute. Had I known that they were against the bike lane, I wouldn't have spent $50 in there. That's what I do know. Like, say what you want, but that's what I do know. So, oh gosh. So, yeah, this is what it is. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe if you like this kind of content with the activism. So I know a lot of bike channels like to show just the pretty pictures, but the work of getting things done is not as always as glamorous. The work of getting things done is not as glamorous as the end result. But you know, here we are anyway. I mean, it's glorious. It's been a glorious week. You know, we've got the Midtown South rezoning also coming up. The city council vote for that. I want more neighbors. I want more neighbors. I am thrilled that Keith Powers and Eric Botcher are doing this. They are spectacular. I feel sad for Keith Powers because he's a really good city council person, but Brad Hollyman Siegel is also very good. So it's like he got caught up in the, you know, you got two good options. and so some, like, had Brad not been on there, Keith Powers would probably end up being the Manhattan Borough President. Who knows? He may be the Manhattan Borough President at some point anyway. In any case, hopefully you all are having a wonderful evening. And yeah, let me know what you think. New York is finally starting to make some progress, which is very good. I'm very thrilled. Like that MSMX plan, 10,000 new units, almost 10,000 new units, 2,800 of them affordable units of housing that can be built in Midtown South in my neighborhood. I mean, and then on top of that, on top of everything, you get the busway coming, also the 34th Street busway, which is desperately needed because, golly, I literally can walk faster. On most weekdays. And then you also got the Broadway project, which they want to harden the pedestrianization of Broadway. So they've tested it out, they've gotten some data, and now they're going to take the information that they've gathered and they're going to create a hardened version of that. And they're going to make Broadway beautiful. Oh, it's going to be glorious. They want to make it beautiful and even more pedestrianized. So now you'll just only have the pedestrians, and then you'll have the cycle track. And so the bikes will go into the cycle track, and then the pedestrians will get all the rest of the space. And then the people who need to drive, they'll work around it. People will work around it. People will figure out a way, like they always do, especially when it's fresh and beautiful. They're gonna want to be there. I know I'm gonna want to be there when the construction is complete. I'm gonna be like, yes, I'm here. like I go to all these other countries, like London. Well, that's a city. But the UK, specifically London, and Spain, Barcelona, and France, Nice, and Paris, and Switzerland, Zurich, and Netherlands, Amsterdam. Look, I mean, boy, we wasted like 30 years. We were ahead. At one point we were ahead, but not only did we bulldoze everything so people could drive through everything. You know, I hope it doesn't get to this point, but sometimes I think, oh, people are so car-brained that they're gonna end up living in their car and not living in an actual house, because for a lot of places in America, the city is simply designed for cars and not designed for people, and people being outside of their cars, which is a hot mess. So I am thrilled about the Broadway linear park actually going the next step to becoming an actual linear park. And then there's also this trees program that Eric Botcher has been pushing. He's pushing for the city to install trees and tree beds all over Manhattan. And I think it's brilliant. I think it's absolutely brilliant. Like, I think from a traffic safety perspective, it's brilliant, but I think from a citywide beautification perspective, it's brilliant. So basically, Manhattan will be a park for people, and I mean, like an affordable park for people. I love that for Manhattan. Instead of a playground for rich people, it's an affordable park for people. So that means everybody. That means all groups, all incomes, everyone. Look, the diversity cat left the bag. It isn't coming back. America wasn't even founded on, it was founded with white people, but guess who was doing all the work? The black people. And so it was founded by white people with black people. I'm so sorry to say. Like, people want to erase the slavery and pretend like white people did it themselves. They didn't do it themselves. They did it with black help, with black muscle, with black strength, with black ingenuity, with black excellence, black talent. Yeah, that's what America is built on. That was the foundation of America, black people. And so, yeah, I want everybody to be able to enjoy these things. Like, a lot of people are not able to go to these other countries and see what is actually possible. And New York has to be an example of what is actually possible. Because what happens is, if other cities can replicate the good parts of New York City, then what can happen is, then people will want to live in those places. I think part of the reason the Republican Party has been so successful is because the centrist Democrats at the local level haven't been doing anything, and they've been failing. They've been failing for God knows how long. And so they refuse to govern. They get elected. They say they're going to get elected. They're going to do all these things, and then they get elected and they don't do anything. You can't get them to do anything. They would rather do nothing, because doing anything is a political cost for them. Democrats would rather do nothing than actually govern. They would rather do anything other than actually govern. So So I am thrilled that Eric Botcher and Keith Powers and some of these other more action-oriented Democrats are finally going to improve the quality of life for New Yorkers all over the city, and hopefully set an example for the rest of the country. All right, yeah, now that's all I've got, but hopefully you're having a wonderful evening, and yeah, take care. Ciao, ciao.